So I played the two new game modes called Majority and Phased for Skirmish during this week's Hell Let Loose PTE session. Yes, that's right, apparently the Skirmish mode from last week's PTE may be called something else because these are also Skirmish. So Skirmish is more of a category rather than a specific game mode. Honestly, I have no idea, but all these game modes played differently. So I think the best way to cover this will be to talk about each of the three matches I played for Majority and Phased, because all these modes have different rules and it will get confusing to cover everything at once. Also, before we get started, I do want to mention that yes, this is the PTE. Everything talked about may change before release, so please keep that in mind as the video goes on. This is all testing. A lot of this stuff could go back to the drawing board, and hopefully so. The first match I played was Majority on Driel as the British. It consisted of 3 points, which are all 3 middle points across the map, and both teams can attack and defend all these points at once. Whoever holds the majority at the end of the match time wins. It doesn't matter if one team controls all 3 at any time, just whoever controls 2 to 3 at the end of the match. So how did this play? Honestly, it was kind of boring. When you take all these players and spread them out over 3 points instead of 1 or 2, you really start to feel it, and the map seems very empty. Like, I get the idea of this, and I get what they're going for with the sort of conquest style mode. I don't think the style of mode works for Hell Let Loose gameplay. It just feels empty and unfocused. When I saw the team taking the point on the right side of the map, I would just escape, redeploy, and go sit in a bush on the point on the left side of the map for 2 minutes. But no one ever came because it was so far away. They were too busy working on the other 2 points. So a lot of the time I spent playing this mode was just sitting in the point, watching the timer fill up. And I think Hell Let Loose is at its best when you have the whole server at one part of the map at one point in time, and you really get that epic, intense feeling. Here it was more kind of just running into 1 or 2 people at a time when you're all just running between these 3 points. Just didn't give me that epic, intense feeling that I could get in Warfare or Offensive, or even the Skirmish King of the Hill mode from last week. The next match I played was Phas Skirmish on Alamein, and this is where things started to get silly. So I was playing as the Germans who were defending. We had 2 points, one on the north side of the map and one on the south side. Eventually, when these 2 points fall, we have to defend a single point. Only that single point does not show up on the map. We don't know which point it is. So when these 2 starting points did fall, I was expecting to be pushed back a sector like it was old school offensive or something. But nope. The surprise 3rd point popped up in between these 2 other points. So this last stand point was basically almost entirely surrounded by enemy, and it was not fun to defend at all. It basically turned into a farming simulator for the other team, as our team just kept spawning and dying for the next 5 minutes until they could run into the point and cap it. If you've been playing Hell Let Loose for a while now, you may remember a time when offensive mode actually used to have 2 points per sector outside of HQ, and how that didn't work that well and how unfun that was. Well, this is just like the last 2 sectors of that offensive mode, except worse, because that last point is in between the 2 points. And then I did play another phased match, which was on Driel, but this one was for some reason different than the Alamein one. It had single points instead of double, so this is closer to the current offensive. I was playing as the attacking British forces, but this one started out super weird. The warm-up was super small, like when we spawned in, the warm-up wall was like maybe 60 meters away. Like, you just see it, you're kind of just penned in there. And the HQs had no trucks in them, nothing in them. It was very weird. So the commander had to actually spawn in a transport truck for the team, which I've never seen before. And I did have hopes of this one playing a little better since it was only 1 point offensive style. But it got weird when we realized the attacking team can't build OPs or forward positions or garrisons, whatever you want to call them, in the 4 squares that the attacking point is. So basically all spawn points were forced to be built a couple 100 meters away from the strong point. This was not fun. This just kind of made our team hold W and try all these different angles until one time you just kind of sneak your way in there. Then as we capped the first point, it kind of just went on. Each point was just down the tracks northbound. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Maybe it's just real, but it just doesn't work on this map. It didn't work. It was just really awkward to play. I found it really confusing that there was 2 different styles of Phas Skirmish. Both of them kind of attempted to replicate a game mode that works best in this long format and do it on a shorter timer, which just doesn't work. Offensive is always best when the defending team has time to set up points. They have time to get garrisons set up and really prepare for an attack. And it is just common sense to know in Hell Let Loose, defending 2 points at once just doesn't work. It's just that we did this already. It was not fun. Offensive works better when it's just 1 point. So to go back to that idea just doesn't make sense to me. But in the end, I found Majority and Phase to be nowhere near as enjoyable as the previous King of the Hill skirmish mode that was previously tested. I don't really see the purpose of these new modes, as all they do is either spread teams out to make boring gameplay, or they're play like less fun versions of Warfare Offensive. If it's to teach new players hell loose mechanics, I'm not sure what the lessons are here with these modes. They feel messy and unclear, whereas the King of the Hill skirmish was simple, fast, intense, and provided a more unique experience. Or at the very least, it provided something, maybe a foundation for something that could be worked into something better. I just don't see it with these two new modes. Even if they are just used for seeding, they aren't fun. And then on top of that, the inconsistency in spawn mechanics and forward position or garrison placement, whatever you want to call it, across all three different skirmish modes was just confusing. Having different cooldowns across modes and certain restrictions just made it frustrating. When all these modes are supposed to fall under skirmish, it doesn't make sense to have these inconsistencies. It's just going to confuse players. Also, unlike the previous PTE, these two modes showed slots for the full 6 tank crews and 2 recons, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. These two modes just seem way less prepared to go out than that first mode. So for me, there's never been a specific map or game mode in Hell Loose that has ever made me leave a server if it came up in the rotation. If these two modes released in this state and played the same way, I would absolutely leave the server. I really do hope the devs go back to the lab on these modes and cook up something better. The King of the Hill skirmish mode has so much potential, and if they just add something like a win condition for whoever holds the point for the majority of the time, like a proper King of the Hill, you're looking at a banger game mode there and something specific. I don't see the potential or purpose with majority or phased, so hopefully better minds can figure that one out. Okay, so I've been negative long enough. There was some good with this PTE. El Alamein looks like it's getting a ton of changes, which is great to see. This map looks completely different. I really wish we got to spend time on this map with a different game mode and not just be rushed around, because this looks like it's going to play entirely differently. There's new valleys, there's new bridges. Apparently there's tunnels somewhere, but since the modes I was playing only lasted 20 minutes, I didn't get a chance to go around and find those. There's new foliage. I mean, it looks great, man. This Alamein looks like it's gonna be actually, people are gonna wanna play this. So I really can't wait. I hope we get a PTE on this one for Warfare or something, because I honestly think it's gonna be a crowd pleaser. So hopefully we get to see more of that soon. That is like the one really good thing to come out of this PTE. But yeah, I'm sorry if this video was more of a complaining or rant video. It's pretty rare for me to be so negative about Hell Loose, but I really need to be honest trying these modes out. It was not fun. If you played any of the skirmish modes in the PTE, please let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did you enjoy them? What would you change? What didn't you like? Please let me know. I love hearing your guys' thoughts. But let's wrap this up. I don't want to complain too long. Thank you for watching. Thank you for everything you do. I'll see you on the front line.